November is finally here. After going all of October having encounters with deer every sit, I had a feeling the rut was going to be wild. Only thing to do was to keep an eye on the weather and pick the best days to hunt. Last season, I noticed a lot of the high movement days were sunny and around the November 8th to 10th range. My cameras this year were the most active beyond the clearing on a trail that ran by my creek set. Some bucks were around at night, but I know that eventually they will change. Just need to be in the tree when that happens. Good morning, everybody. It is November 3rd. First in November. I'm excited. It seems like someone just flipped on a switch a couple days ago. And there's a 9-pointer with an inside kicker that's been hanging around. Basically on the lookout for does, messing around with does. So the bucks are up and they're cruising now. And this is the same buck last year that I got the full drop on, but didn't have a really good shot, so I let him go. He's bigger now. And that opportunity came about a year ago this weekend. I'm hoping to see some action today. It's going to be sunny, about 55. Should really get the deer up on their feet. I've been out of the woods out back here for a couple weeks now. See if anybody comes by this morning. And then tonight. So, welcome to November. Deer. That's the 9. used my wrong pin. It's about 32, 34. And I knew that. But I used my 40 pin instead of my 30-yard pin. Whoops. But I went down. Just got back. Got my arrow. Broadhead is stuck in the tree, but That didn't go as planned. It's a good bug. I just shot him in the neck. Kind of like in the center of the neck. I mean, he was hurting. Just please let this deer be dead. Please let this deer be dead. I know roughly around the last time I saw him, and his tail was flicking real good, like he was hurting. Very similar to how deer do it right before they fall, before they crash. Called Corey. He's gonna come out and help me try and find this thing. Let my dad know. I just hope this deer's dead. I got the yardage right. The only thing I can think of is there's just like a little twig and it deflected off it. But it almost seems like it just left the bow going that way, which is weird. I think I'm gonna study the film a little bit. What's nice with GoPros is I was able to turn that on really fast because it happened so quick. I knew where he was going, and I'm like, that is a good lane, much closer than yesterday. Maybe I should try and see which deer this was. It happened so quick. I just know it's bigger than anything I've shot before. I don't think it's the 8-pointer from yesterday. I don't think it's that one. We'll see. So after waiting about 45 minutes or so, after I shot this deer, it was a clean pass through right through his neck. I watched him, flickered his tail, kind of was flicking it really hard. And as I was waiting those 45 minutes, I started to look up, actually, other people if they have never shot deer before. And a lot of the stuff I was finding was either it's going to, like, you hit the spine and it drops, but it's not like necessarily dead, or if you hit an artery that runs within that jugular, like runs in that neck there, but it sits a little lower than where my arrow went in. And they were saying that the other thing is, like, if you hit that, it expires so fast, like you watch it die, which that didn't happen at all. Not feeling the greatest about the lethality of this particular shot. And just to clarify, I wasn't purposely trying to shoot this deer in the neck. As it turns out, I actually kind of just punched just a little bit and torqued my hand on the shot, and that's what caused the arrow just to fly off the bow straight to the right. It left the bow. It didn't deflect off anything, so that's on me. So I get down, I find my arrow. It's covered in blood, but it's really thin. It starts to drizzle just a little bit, not like super hard rain. I started to get a little antsy with that. I head back to the house.
I think it was at 8 or 9 in the morning, and I live in the same neighborhood as my father-in-law, and I was having coffee with him. and I had walked over there in Crocs and some nice jogging pants. And Ian calls me, tells me that he shot a buck, and told me that he shot it in the neck and that he needed help tracking it. And Ian lives about 40 minutes away. So I ran home 3/4 of a mile in Crocs, and then got just some general, like my kit bag, my giant fanny pack that I use for hunting, which has stuff in it. I drive over there, we get there, Ian and his dad are out there, and they're getting ready to start tracking this thing. It's been maybe an hour or so since he shot it.
Once Corey shows up, all three of us head out, go over to the stand, go to where the shot where I had my arrow, and I left my arrow there, and pick up the trail from there, start walking around kind of where he ran, found a good bit of blood kind of through the creek, crossed the creek, kept following it. It was a pretty good blood trail, all the way up to the point where he had stopped when I could see him in the stand and he'd stop. It was really, there was some good, like, there was a fair amount of blood there, naturally because he just stopped and fresh wound.
So every time we would find blood, I would take a neon green flag, hang it from the tree above the blood, and drop a GPS point on it. So that's what we did. For the most part, I didn't really take that many actual GPS points, but we marked every blood spot with green flagging. And that creates a geospatial reference when you're tracking on where the deer ran. So it highlights, literally, a path on where that deer ran.
And so we started taking the trail from there, and the way that landscape, or the brush and the understory kind of goes through, there's a lot of younger trees starting to come up. So it gets pretty gnarly, it gets pretty thick, pretty dense, and he really did not want to go into that at all. We kind of kept going, he was skirting the edge of it, and what I was noticing is every time he'd cross over something, we'd get blood if he had to lift up his neck. He didn't want to lift his neck or keep his head up, obviously. So we'd find over like things that he would cross over, and there'd be some blood. There's some blood, but that blood started to trickle into 5-6 drops at a time, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller. But the cool thing about this, having hunted this particular piece of land, both my father and I, we really know these deer. And what I mean by that is we were actually predicting where he wanted to end up when the trail kind of went cold and we were really having a hard time kind of picking it back up again. We were following kicked up leaves, those kinds of things. I mean, it was an amazing track job. So eventually he doesn't keep going west. He doesn't cut south towards his cell tower fields and stuff. It starts hitting right up to the corner where there's some private stuff and there's a new development that's starting to come in. But instead, he turns and heads north. Like my dad and I kind of thought this. There was a goldenrod field, as we refer to it as. There's like an ATV trail that goes through that, but it's really grown up in this center part of it. So there's a lot of thick bedding, and we know that a lot of deer, and we believe the bucks actually hang out in bed north of this field. So we both kind of were like, I think he's heading towards the goldenrod field. Lo and behold, we get back on the blood again, and guess where he's heading? He's heading straight to that field. So we follow it through, but now, with it being drops of blood and the drizzle and it's thinning it out, we get into where this ATV trail is, and good luck trying to pick out any kind of blood on that grass and mud and everything else. So we split up and kind of traverse around the field a bit. I go back, and we spent probably about a good hour just trying to find this trail again back where along this ATV trail in this field. And I went back to where he exited the woods and came out into the field trying to see if I can find something. Corey was hopeful. He's like, this deer's dead. I know this deer's dead. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think so, but I got to make sure. So it gets to a point where eventually Corey comes back and finds me and says, we found blood again up on the north part of the ATV trail. in the north part of the field along the ATV trail. And he kind of shows me what he found. And he actually found tracks that came up from the west side of the field up, and once he hit and saw that development, he actually turned and ran. And you can actually see his hoof prints splayed out and running, cutting through this clear cut kind of through the thick stuff. And then came out over onto a strawberry plant, and that's where Corey found the speck of blood. I told my dad, actually, right before this, I was like, I have a feeling he's going to go into this field, but there's really no other ways that he's going to want to go. He's going to want to head up to this north part where we think the bucks like to hang out in this north swamp. And there's a spot on the north end of the field that traditionally, historically, I know deer like to hang out in this. It's an old apple orchard back in like the 50s. And there's still apple trees that are back in there. And I remember growing up, and my dad was saying, like, you could smell the deer because it used to be just undergrown, really, really, really thick. Bedding area, classic, like, this is where they go to bed. A lot of does would, and I know the bucks will go through there too. And I had a feeling there's a spot where it cuts through this little brush patch over a rock wall, but it opens up inside this little big thing. I'm like, he's heading to that. So I tried to describe it to him, and they found the one set of blood on the strawberry plant kind of heading up north, and I'm watching and I'm following the track as it comes up, and it gets to right about that spot. So I think Corey goes up, going up north up to this ridge, and I find the little cut that I had a feeling where he's going to go, and where I pretty much predicted where he was going to go, come through, stand up literally right up on the rock wall, and there's blood again. So I was like, yep, know where these deer are going. And so we got on the trail again, and this time there's a little bit more blood around the rock wall, because again, he had to really raise his head up in order to cross over that, but then it quickly dissipated, and I mean, now we're talking single, like 2 drops of blood, 3 drops most, and the drizzling is starting to really dilute it. We trailed it back over towards this ridge. He comes down the side of this ridge, and this is after 4 hours, and it's just like he's going to go into some thick stuff, and I'm sitting there going, there's no way this deer's going to die.
This happens to everyone. While it sucks to lose deer, the thing that you have to remember is, and this is not an original thought, but the law of conservation of energy exists for a reason. If you shoot a deer and you're upset that you never got it, just remember in the back of your head that some other life form is going to eat that deer. It's not wasted.
Talking with Corey, and Corey, I think finally, I just wanted to make sure that I did my due diligence, even though I messed up this. And Corey finally goes, I think we've done enough. And then from that point out, I was good. I had a feeling, but I just needed to hear someone else say that we did our best. I did my best. I did what I was supposed to do to account for that mess up. It's not like I lost sleep over this either. I didn't punch my tag or anything like that. I was pretty confident that this deer was alive and was going to make it. And actually, lo and behold, a couple weeks after that, got him on trail camera. This buck looks just like the one that I shot at. And on the trail camera, when he crossed by it, I looked by his neck, and you could see a little tuft of fur right around where I shot it. And he was up chasing does, doing deer things. So he made it. He was fine. Or tough to bring down. I'm just impressed that I shot it clean pass through the neck and didn't hit anything that apparently would kill it.
I will always show you guys the bad along with the good. Hunting is messy, but it teaches you accountability. I do not shoot enough during the season, and you can expect that to change. Nothing to do now but get back up on the horse and ride on. The rut is still running hot.